click, and try and amble back into shot. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. High, somewhere around there. There's no viewfinder on this camera, it's broken, so I don't know where I'm actually looking, so I hope I'm making eye contact with you. So, I wouldn't want to be so rude as to not to. Spiritually, I'm making eye contact with you, if that's any good to you. I'm going to try a version of a song of mine from a million years ago called Where the Hard Wind Blows. I wrote this in at the height of Thatcherism. It's an allegorical number. It's kind of, back then I wrote a song, they could be, tend to be just 1 point center, And I would always say that, injustice has got many tentacles. So this is in the key of A minor. But I want to play it because you know what? Here we are in 2024 in England and we don't seem too far. Oh, where the hard wind blows. We don't seem too far away from those days. Even now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a fence along the highway to keep the poets in. The prophet working overtime says now is the time to begin. The burial of an unknown man who might have been someone's twin. And the movie queen says, I have been where lovers cannot go. All that is black and no one comes back from where the hard wind blows. All the ministers sit in conference while the servants go forth and steal, and the octopus tells tales of old while working the spinning wheel. And the lawyers and the congressmen debate what fake news can be classed real. And a new day breaks with new heartaches and suits of blue that glow. And the evil toad has built a road to where the hard wind blows. In a council of the vagabonds, the last man in is voted first. He gets ahead of his position and leaves his mother dying of thirst. He says, I've got plenty of new deceptions to sell. Come on, go do your worst. And the samurai won't let you cry, and he won't let you go. And the night comes down, so take your crown to where the hard wind blows. Where the road on which you travel turns into a slot machine. You know you must change your transport and keep your conscience clean. The ferryman may say if to you, but he doesn't really know what it means. And all he can do is poison you and put you in a show. The tower is high, but time still goes by where the hard wind blows. There's a tunnel with no entrance that leads to a hermit's cave, where half the people were victimized while the other half were enslaved. And the queen of clubs was washed ashore on the crest of a regal wave. The truth is lies, and you despise the need that makes it so. The possum wears silk and the dead drink milk where the hard wind blows. In a picture frame of water, a rainbow has been kept in honor of a bedroom where a crucifixion victim once slept. And the princess opens her locket, showing you every tear she's ever wept. And the pacifist, he makes a fist, but he's 10 years too slow. And the people say, we will leave someday where the hard wind blows. There's a flag in every corner that shows you where you are, and a signpost on the ceiling that points to a falling star. The doctor says your time is near, I bequeath to you some scars. And you walk alone through fields of stone where streams of daggers flow, and thanks aren't enough when the going gets rough where the hard wind blows. The sage sells his memories, but no one wants to hear. The fighter puts his gloves away and says same time next year. His mother says your time is nigh, come on, do fear. As the hammer drops, she calls the cops, but they get there far too slow. And the first man smiles, time is drawn in miles where the hard wind blows. There's a judge inside a bottle who sends his verdicts out. He says poverty is an illness, and there's a lot of it about. So pass me my black cap so my deceit will there'll be no doubt. And the witness cooks the history books so future generations shall not know. It is for the best to resist arrest where the hard wind blows. The pawn takes to the back streets, the night goes on in style. He leaves a messenger tied to a gate saying, I think he'll come back in a while. And the orphans gather round and say, burn him instead. Dame Fortune has called, but you have stalled, so backwards you must go. One day peace will come to not all but some where the hard wind blows. There's a ship out on an ocean that won't see shore again. helmsman is a hunchback, the captain's drunk and jest in chains. There's an albatross following them around, saying, you really should have abstained. You can't submit when being hit by demons from below, and you won't get hurt if you stay alert where the hard wind blows. While the Aztecs sit in silence, the tourists carry on. They won't leave the stepping stones that they're claimed upon. They take pictures of the pyramids until all their mystique has gone. Standing on one foot, the archer puts a fresh arrow to his bow. And as he takes aim, they begin the game where the hard wind blows. The hostess has laid the table in case she has a guest. Her father told her long ago to be prepared is best. And mama says, listen when daddy speaks, he's a good man, to that I'll attest. And the people seek someone who speaks a language they all know. But there are no tongues on the road that runs to where the hard wind blows. As the poet calls the numbers, the piper starts to play, and the king and queen dance cheek to cheek, and the palm whispers, oh by the way, some friends whose skin's a different color I hear, is it alright if they stay? And the porcupine says, I feel fine, don't tell me it isn't so. And no one believes that no one leaves where the hard wind blows. As a teacher takes the pupil to the end of season dance, where the hat-check girl flashes him a smile, crooked and askance. She says, I see the priest is here, he won't get a second chance. And the fireman does what he can to try and save the show, but it turns to dust as everything must where the hard wind blows. There's a foretaste of the future. The axeman sharpens his blade. He used to be a doctor, but he didn't quite make the grade. And the nursery is empty now, and the expectant mothers are afraid. The billionaire distributes his substitutes and places them in rows, while they're pulling down yet another town where the hard wind blows. Oh, that was that was so close to what I wanted it to be, but I don't know if it shows on the camera. The reason I have a beard and moustache is well, because my son tells me to, but only one side of my face works now. The disease, functional motor neurological disease I have, that's spreading through my body. It's got into my mouth. So words beginning with B are very difficult there. So I'm trying to say billionaire. But anyway, so kind of data that's. I'll talk a little bit about the song. I know a lot of people don't like it when I do that. Hands up, all those in this room who care. Sagebrush. So sorry. There are studio recordings of mine, and so as alluded to. So apologies if this is the first Paul Murphy video you've come across. I'm so sorry. Just in my last times of being able to record, but I have 2 young children who will never see their father grow up. Who will grow up without a father, and who will never get to, ask him about his life if they have any interest in that. So I'm trying to make these videos now to leave behind something that hopefully they can come across, when they get to 12, 13 years old, they might come across me somewhere on the internet. I don't know, but it's either the internet or a Ouija board, so, So Dylan and Emily, everyone else can turn off. So Daddy wrote this in 1987. I'd been on stage doing this for about 5 years at that point, I guess 82. I'd kind of, but I'd stopped in the middle. My first marriage was in the middle of there somewhere or another. Hi Sue, how you doing? If you look closely, you'll be on one of the cue cards behind me at a certain point. There. And when I went back out on the road, I wouldn't say my style had changed, but I'd been doing, we used to play all the benefit concerts. I know I did a couple of red shows, smaller ones, not the big tours, in the local area. And I was kind of getting just a little bit disillusioned. But I won't mention what it was. I remember playing a show in Bath once in support of some people that were out on a strike, and all the bands were playing free. 2 representatives of this organisation had come down to have photo taken and take on the takings or whatever. And they were staying in a nice hotel, and and they were in the bar at night and everything. And we, not all the bands, but certainly me and Steve, was on the bill that night. I don't know who else, because Steve had to come down from Bristol, although there was nowhere near the business I had to travel. But anyway, we weren't staying in hotels. We'd go up and do our 4 numbers or 5 numbers. Steve would have been playing Alone now, I guess. Red light flashing in the green light zone. I'd been doing Candle, I guess, for sure, and a few other numbers like that. And and then we so anyone want to put a musician up for the night, And anyway, and he got a tin of beans, or whatever, and stuff. And I did kind of think, well, okay, so you have the cause, and then you have the vortex around it kind of thing, so you can believe in the cause, but are the people for the cause, who the cause is, are they all in the same situation, for instance? So So when I went back out, I didn't want to do that direct kind of finger pointing stuff and everything. I still had those songs like Candle, and I hadn't written She's Cried a Million Tears then, but I'd certainly written Eye of the Needle for a friend of mine who passed away, sticking things in his arm. And some other ladies I knew in the various squads. Again, a lot of characters in one of my songs. There are 400 people in this one, I guess. Where I'm going with this is I wanted to go back out, and I didn't want it to be as direct as it was, you know, because it only lasted a day. I mean, Bob Dylan's The Times Are Changing will be eternal because the times are always changing. You know, come mothers and fathers throughout the land, don't criticize you can't understand. That's always there, you know. So this song here was about what was going on the news at the time and everything. Up in Liverpool, Sheffield, Wales especially, Yorkshire, my own High Street. Although at that point, 87, I probably got a few quid in the bank by then. And nothing spectacular, but I was making good money, you know, goodish money, selling songs to local bands and everything. It's always handy to know someone who's prolific as me. So I wrote this, and that's it's quite allegorical, and so it still holds up today, you know. So while the Aztecs sit in silence, the tourists carry on. They won't leave the stepping stones they've laid their claim upon. So that is about countries invading other countries, you know, and saying, well, this is ours, and it's normally some first world country going in and landing in because they've got the weapons and everything. And so that's what that line there is about, and that applies today in the world today, you know. And when the octopus tells tales, well, the octopus tells tales of old while working the spinning wheel. So, I mean, you're going back to, I don't know if Mandelson was around then, but we had spin doctors coming in around that time. Well, I first became aware of the phrase spin doctors around that time in the UK. I guess it was used in America a whole lot before then. And there was a lot of stuff going on, like Mrs. Thatcher saying we're going to cut out red tape in the NHS by closing down the hospitals. You know, that's a good way to eliminate the red tape. If you take away the hospital, there's no paperwork, you know. Like, you know, reminds me, it was the Americans said in Vietnam, we've pacified the enemy, i.e. we've dropped a crap load of napalm on their village, you know. Well, if they're dead, they're pretty, you know, they're pretty much pacified. So, and the octopus was taken from an image I saw. I think it was Jim Steranko, maybe a Captain America comic, Hydra, and mixed with a Harry Hussein film. So I just had this image of the world, you know, with evil spreading its tendrils around, and from that I got a picture of an octopus, you know, telling tales of, because everyone was always quoting history, and it applies today. You've got President Putin saying, well, you know, I can invade Ukraine because historically Ukraine was, you know, owned by my Uncle Arthur back in, you know, 1422 or whatever. Absurdum reductum, I know. So when I'm singing the octopus tells tales of old, while working the spinning wheel, all these countries that go around starting wars or invading other countries, you know, they put their own spin on it. So the tendrils of evil, the axis of evil, the tentacles of evil that spread around, you know, and they spin it around, you know. I mean, it's always gone on, you know, Hitler saying, well, you know, we were invited in, and I have no doubt that, you know, back in 43 BC, the Romans writing home saying, you know, have landed on the shores at Beachy Head. The kind Britons have invited us in, and it's all good, they love us. Well, the ones that are still alive. So that's it really. So I won't go on too much about the song, but it's all in there and it applies through to them. That was very long-winded. That was probably even longer than the song, but that's just explaining how I got into working in that allegorical, metaphorical style that I use, and I still do now, although I still do the direct stuff as well. Well, the last song I wrote was called Toxic, so, you know, it's all in there as well. I don't have that to hand. You want to hear the song again? Shall I just play for the whole 35 minutes? I should have played with my fingers instead of the plectrum. The veteran sits in the shelter, selling medals for a dime. The rich boys drive by saying, look at this life of mine. I've got more power to follow me than any mountain you could ever climb. People's memories fade away before they've even thought. Tomorrow will come for not all but some, when the spider is caught. Get a whole new song out of it there. Spider and the Fly. I'm sure you got that, so. All together now. Sing the feedback.